Lloyd joins us right now.
Yes.
Glacier, perhaps we should introduce him as Glacier, former WCW wrestler, now calls Orlando home.
Yeah.
Great to see you.
Thank you, guys, man. It's good to see you guys. Thanks for having me on.
But before he launches down this, I do want to ask you about your relationship with Steve Azar, why you play in this event, why you keep coming back.
Well, Steve and I met probably, almost 25 years ago at a similar event, I think, down in Destin, Florida, back in the day. And a lot of us back then, it was me, Jim McMahon, Lundquist, all of us, and we all became fast friends. And of course, once Steve and Gwen started this event, he invited me to be a part of it. And of course, I said yes as soon as he invited me. And just because of the type of people that Steve and Gwen are and the type of people that they associate with and just the cause itself. I mean, I was a former school teacher before I became a wrestler full time, and I know with public school systems how budgets and things where there's not a lot of money sometimes for things that there should be, and I just am a big fan of the fact that the charity, the St. Cecilia Foundation, raises money for to help the music programs at public school systems that may not have the budgets to have the equipment that they should have. So I think it's a great cause, and it's obviously Steve and Gwen are great people, and I am just excited and proud and honored that every year they invite me back. And I've been here pretty much, I think, I missed only 1 year.
Okay.
So, yeah.
That is great stuff. The thing with Steve and his passion for music in public schools, I don't think there's a month that goes by where I don't see on his Instagram feed he is at another elementary school, and he's got the piano, and they're singing songs that he's worked, the One Mississippi song, and teaching those.
Which is awesome.
It's not just, here's a check. He invests in them. He
does, and that's a great word, he invests. He shows up, and he's a very visible force, as far as all that's concerned, and that's why he has the following he has. That's why he has the support he has, and that's why I support him. That's why I'm so proud to call him a friend. I really am, because he does some great things. He's him and Gwen both are very selfless people. They really give a lot of themselves to the community, and I know he's very dedicated into, obviously why we have it here in Greenville, is to give him back to the place where he grew up and where he calls home, which is the state of Mississippi, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, really, really cool. You may get asked questions that you never would have believed would have been asked. Hey, Dad, the floor is yours. I cede the microphone.
So you talked about being a teacher there.
Yeah.
How does one go from being a teacher to being in the professional wrestling business?
Well, I'll tell you what. It was, when I broke in April of 1987, and I was just finishing playing football at Valdosta State University, getting ready to graduate in June. So I broke in a couple months before I graduated, and it was a great balance in the beginning because the teaching schedule was, Monday through Friday. I was done by around 4 o'clock, and it balanced well with the wrestling schedule, which was typically evenings, weekends, and then I had my summer break, where I had a couple months off. So it balanced really well in the beginning. So and I got a chance to work in Georgia there, where wrestling was really hot at that time. So yeah, it was a great balance, and I had good insurance, so in case I got hurt, which typically was a good bit back then. So yeah.
So your legend at Valdosta State kind of coincided with his legend at Valdosta.
Listen,
John Bond, the legend of.
There's an old saying that in Valdosta, John Bond may not be in a class all by himself, but don't take on to call roll. So.
That's good.
So your style was very unique in professional wrestling, the martial arts style. Normally, almost exclusively, wrestlers from Asia would be given a situation like that.
Yeah.
But you had it. You obviously have that in your background. When you're sitting down and they're fleshing out the character of Glacier, what was that conversation like?
Well, you know what? Eric Bischoff was the head of WCW back then, and that was something that one of my favorite quotes. No, my number one favorite quote in the world is, it's not necessarily what you know, and it's not who you know. It's who's willing to say they know you. And Diamond Dallas Page and I had become good friends. I'd moved to Atlanta, and so through Dallas's recommendation to Eric, that's how I got a meeting with Eric. I found out Eric was really heavily involved in martial arts, and so once we had that conversation and started really talking, they had the Mortal Kombat film would come out. Mortal Kombat, the TBS was doing the Mortal Kombat TV series, and so their question was, how can we bring this into the wrestling ring? And so Eric had kind of been looking, and luckily when we met, he found what he felt was the first piece of that puzzle to start. So yeah, we kind of dove in, and but I was allowed a lot of freedom as to what we could do and couldn't do, and try to change wrestling a little bit as far as just other than just headlocks and arm drags, as bringing kicks and chops and things in a little bit different way. So yeah, I was glad that we were able to do that.
Sometimes a wrestler's entrance can be a big part of getting them over.
Yeah.
And you had one of the coolest entrances in the history of professional wrestling. How much input did you have, and how that all came together?
You know what? I had, thankfully, a lot of input. They allowed me to have a lot of input, which was really great. But I had no idea. Even first time I had that entrance, I had no idea what it was going to be.
Tell me about the entrance.
The arena would go blue.
Yeah.
You'd have like snow coming down out of the rafters. This blue light piercing into the ring, and then he would come out doing these martial arts moves, dressed basically as Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat.
It was pretty cool.
And they ran a huge promotion campaign. Blood Runs Cold. I'll never forget that as long as I live. And he had all this hype coming in, so that when he finally debuted, you were like,
"You can't fake this, by the way.
No,
this is real.
This is real. It's real passion." And it was just incredible.
Okay.
When he first came out, you were like, this because it's different. You'd never seen anything like that in professional wrestling up to that point. And you were saying you had a lot of influence into that.
I had a lot of, they allowed me to have a lot of say so on certain things like that, and yeah, it was. I mean, it was way ahead of its time as far as entrances. No one really had ever had a big dynamic entrance before, so I was very, very fortunate to be the first one to really have all that, and so I tried to make the most of it. I really did, and it was funny. I remember Arn Anderson telling me one time, one of the Four Horsemen, because the entrance was an entity all its own, so I remember him saying like he's like boy, he said that entrance is really great, but man, you got to walk on water to follow that thing.
Or ice in your case.
Yeah, on ice, either one.
I think one of the things that made Nitro so strong back then was you had the main event, you had the NWO and all that. The rest of the card, you could put guys out there and they could have great matches. You would have great matches with Mortis, Chris Kanyon, and Wrath, who I was a huge fan of back in the day. You had the Latino guys, the
Luchadors,
who they would just tear the house down. I mean, when you went to Nitro, you really got your money's worth. Was that something that you talked about, Eric Bischoff? Was that something that he was like really big on, to try to have we have to have a strong card from the first match to the last match?
He really was, and and even today with live TV, that was your goal. Is you wanted, there were 3 spots you wanted on live TV. You wanted that opening match on the first hour, or you wanted that transitional match right at the transitional hour, because that was whether either the audience would stay or they change the channel. So not only was that a good time to be on, but it was also a challenge. Like, okay, well, if we put you there and you deliver, okay, well, maybe they'll put you again. If you don't deliver, you might not get that spot again. But it was always a good time, because the people who won were the wrestling fans, because you never knew what exactly was coming the next match or the next hour, and it was an awesome time to be a wrestling fan. It was an awesome time to be a wrestler. It was a win-win for everybody, and I'm very, very thankful that I was able to, as I always say too, is be a part of what will go down as one of the greatest rosters in the history of professional wrestling. And guys that I idolized, I was able to come in and be accepted and be, have a seat at that table, is probably the greatest honor that I could ever have throughout my whole career, was having those people be able to accept me into that circle.
Only about 30 seconds or so left here. If Triple H, if Tony Khan called you today and said, hey, we want you for the Royal Rumble, we want you for a Battle Royal, would you come in and do it? Would you do it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Make it happen, Tony Khan. Make it happen, Triple H. Blood Runs Cold 2024. Do it.
I would do it in a heartbeat. Yeah.
We need to make that happen.
How long would it take you to get ready for that?
I'm ready now, man. So the old saying is, when you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. Man, I'm ready to go.
I love it. This was
I picked the right day, by the way, to wear my Ric Flair socks.
Oh, there.
So,
that's awesome.
I had no idea, but I picked the right day.
Ray Lloyd, Glacier, with us.